Okay, we are live apparently. So, I hope everything's gonna go well, because I always have technical issues when I go live. 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 I think it's good now. Hopefully. I'm really hoping it's fine. Let me check on my phone, because there's always technical issues. So if I watch the live stream from my phone, live stream is always a interesting one. Of course, a commercial. Let's see. It's really hard when you do live streams to check yourself everything is fine. I feel. Yeah, obviously now it's echoing. Oh, what happened? I feel like I'm not live anymore. What happened? No, I think it's fine. Still there, I think. Oh, it was looking different. Alright, so let's do a bit of promotion on Twitter, making sure the links are shared. Alright, we're gonna have to wait for people to join, I think. Let's give it some time. I'm not even sure if 10:30 is a good time for live streaming. I just kind of went randomly with it. But maybe I should try at some point to do the live streams in the afternoon. That would be a good idea, I think. Yeah, gonna go off this page. Other than that, let's give it a bit of time. 2 people online. Sorry, I was a little bit late. I was eating pain au chocolat and I was like, should I eat it live? But then I'm gonna have like stuff all over my teeth. So I was like, maybe not. So I can just wait and eat it first and then check my teeth and do a live stream. I remember once I did what's it called? A vlog. That was a long time ago. I'm not a vlogger, clearly, but I used to do vlogs, and I had some food in my teeth, and that looked really bad. So I was a bit embarrassed, but you know, it is what it is. All right. So I see that Abu sent messages on the chat, but I don't know when they were sent, because I guess the live stream was available before, but I don't see the times. Ah, okay. He was there this morning. Right, gotcha. I used to do something funny on Twitter. Yeah. Alright, I see there are people watching. Say something. Tell me who you are. Say hi. What's up? I sent them before you started. Yeah, I just got it. I actually can see the times now. You send them 20 minutes before it started. And hi Abu, I don't know if I've seen you before on my live stream on my channel. Are you a new subscriber? There's a lot of new people on my channel. Since I mean, I really want to try to do more live streams because I enjoy them. It's quite nice to interact with people and we can talk about many things, and sometimes that gives me ideas for videos. But I don't do them very regularly, so there's lots of new people all the time, so which is nice. But yeah. So Abu, what brings you to my channel? Tell us a bit more about yourself. Because I mean, I don't want the live stream just to be about myself, you know, we can exchange and things. Not in a live stream, but I always watch your French videos. Oh, nice. Which one was your favorite? Or when you say French videos, do you mean videos in French or videos about French or both? Because I kind of do a bit of everything. As you can see, I kind of dabble on my channel, and it's like my playground. I like to do lots of different things. I don't know why my beard is very itchy today. Should have trimmed it. boys' problems, I guess. We can have a look on Twitter. Maybe I should share on Facebook, but I don't feel like a lot of people. Because I used to have well, I have a Facebook page, but I don't really use it. I'm actually considering closing it because I get messages on there, and I check them like once a month, and people are gonna start thinking that I don't care about them and don't reply. I'm at the intermediate level in French and just started European Portuguese. Nice. I don't know if you know about this, but I'm French and Portuguese, so the fact that you started learning European Portuguese as well is really cool. I'm obviously very biased. That's really cool. And how long have you been studying French for to reach intermediate level? Tell us about it. And how did you learn as well? I'm always curious because, like I used to, when I was in England until July, I used to teach French, but I was only teaching beginners, so level A1, A2. And yeah, I don't really, I haven't taught any intermediate students, which I'd like to one day. That'd be nice. So yeah, it'd be nice to kind of know how you kind of do it. I would like to see videos teaching French and European Portuguese. You know, there is a project that I have, and I've had it for a very long time. I already have the name of my channel secured, so to speak. Is that I want to do a channel where I teach Portuguese. I don't think I want to do a channel to teach French, because there's so many out there, and I don't feel like I can add anything better to the table. But for European Portuguese, there's not a lot of resources, so I really want to do a channel at some point, and I think I will do it. Any time, and yeah, there's many things I want to do in my life. But I definitely want to do a channel where I teach European Portuguese. That'd be amazing, because obviously Portuguese is dear to my heart, and it'd be lovely to be able to teach it and sort of transmit what I know of Portuguese. Bonjour Kevin, I'm procrastinating getting up to do my Russian homework. Lol. Oh my god, Mary, you have no idea how much procrastinating I've done this week, especially with language learning. And I feel like I've procrastinated, it's a very hard word to say. I feel like I've procrastinated a lot with Japanese in the last few months, since like August. I still do some Japanese, but I'm really on maintenance mode rather than like progress mode. And something I want to fix very soon. I want to get back to my italki classes at some point. I started learning French 30 years ago and I'm still at B1. Hey, you know, there's all this like trend of learn languages fast and stuff, but I think it's fun to take time. You know, my Japanese is very beginner level and I've started like 3 years ago. My progress is really slow, but I don't care. It's fun, like, you know, and I've got many things I need to deal with, and I'm also practicing other languages, like, you know, listening to Spanish and that kind of thing. So I think slow is fine. I don't really feel any pressure. A lot of people are like, for my Japanese progress updates, they're like, oh, you should make a video when you speak Japanese. I'm like, I can't speak Japanese fluently yet. Like, I'm far from this. So give me a bit of time. Maybe give me 5 more years. Silly thing is, if I just do it, I am then in a very good mood, but it is the effort to get started. Often it's like thinking about doing it that's hard rather than actually doing it. It's crazy how our brains trick us. Because I get the same thing with my videos. So I'm very itchy for some reason. I get the same thing with my videos, is that I struggle to get started. I'm like, oh, it's going to be long. And then when I record the video, I'm like, it was 20 minutes. Like, that was not a lot of time. And then the editing takes, always in my head, like 5 hours, but actually it takes 2 hours or something. So, yeah. French days avec Jarno. Hello. I study French and vlogging in French. So you study French and you do vlogging, or you study vlogging in French? I guess you do vlogging. What kind of vlogging do you do? Tell us. Good practice. What is good practice? You have to remind me what I said, because I forget what I say, because there's like a 10-second lag between what I say and, you know, by the time you hear and write the message. If I'm depressed, I listen to anything in standard French and I feel better immediately. Fair enough. I mean, I think it's good sometimes to, in language learning, because, okay, what I want to say is that obviously, you know, some days you're really productive, you can study for 2 hours, and other days you're less productive. So, you know, if you're depressed or feeling low or something like that. And I think it's fine to plan for activities that are less demanding, like, what's the word, like for your brain, I guess. Yeah, and I think that's a good strategy. At least you do something, and that's good. I think it's great. I try to do the same. Yeah, daily things. So, do you vlog in French? Do you vlog about where you live right now, and where do you live? I mean, if that's not personal, obviously. Tell us. Sell us your channel. Here you go, you can do some promotion if you want. Oof, getting thirsty after eating 2 pains au chocolat, obviously. I do have an addiction to pain au chocolat, which is maybe one of the reasons why I left the UK and came back to Paris. But yeah, Abu, you made me think of the Portuguese channel. I really need to get to it. Like, I really would like to. I think my issue right now, I'm being, I don't know, I'm giving you my life story, but I feel like my issue right now is to find the time and be productive. And it's not a problem of time for me, because right now I'm not very busy, but it's just like, you know, being productive is really, really hard. And I don't have a routine yet. I'm getting there, but it's tough. Do you have any advice in how I start learning European Portuguese as a total beginner? I know the greetings and numbers. Well, obviously I'm biased because I'm a teacher, and I think language lessons, especially at the beginning, are quite useful. The way I like to do lessons is that, you know, normally, like, you know, you have your lesson, the teacher plans for things, you know, they check what your goals are, what you want to learn, etc. And then you do that. And that gives you sort of kind of like a structure, something a bit linear, something fixed. And then the rest of the time I try to do things a bit more random, I guess. So you can be listening to a podcast, watching TV, I don't know, something that's a little bit more fun. Or I can use another textbook if there's one. But you're right, in European Portuguese the issue is that there's very few resources. And I had this issue because when I was teaching it, they asked me to choose a textbook, and the options out there are like small, like it's really low. There's not much. And I'm afraid I don't have really a solution for that, and I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do a channel in Portuguese, European Portuguese in particular, because there's so little. Even when I was planning my lessons, because even in French, okay, so basically Portuguese, it's not like my most fluent language because I was born in France, so obviously my French is my dominant language, which is the technical term we use in bilingual research, sorry. So Portuguese, I speak it fluently, but I don't speak it to an academic level, for example. So that means that I need to sometimes check resources, check my spelling is okay, because I never learned how to write it, but I know how to check, so that's fine. And I can write it somehow, like it's just like, let's say 80% accurate, my Portuguese in writing. So I need to check resources, but that's something I do with French anyway, like, you know, how to explain grammar, find the best way of explaining and sort of make it my own. But for Portuguese, there's not a lot of resources, so even if sometimes I've got a doubt about something, I need to call my family. I can't just look it up on the internet, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, there isn't much out there for Portuguese. It's a shame. Most European Portuguese YouTube videos are for the intermediate levels, but very rare for total beginners. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. I think his name is Diego, Diogo? I can't remember. Diogo? And he has an amazing channel, but it's not really for beginners. Yeah. Is European Portuguese and Brazilian Portuguese the same kind of difference as UK and US English? Good question. I tend to say yes, but there's something, I don't know how to explain. Roughly yes, I would say yes, basically, in the sense that different accent, different slang. But the thing is, I mean, that's from a perspective of someone who's Portuguese. I feel like we're not exposed to the language the same way. For example, in England, you have like so many, US shows like everywhere. Like you can't miss it. Every UK person watches something in American English, so you're exposed to a lot of the US. But I think in Portuguese it's a bit different. We are exposed to Brazilian Portuguese, of course, but not as much, I feel. So when I've got Brazilian friends, and sometimes when they speak Portuguese, I can like keep up because I'm used to the accent. But the slang is like, what are you saying? I have no idea what that word means. So even though I'm fluent in the language and I can understand like 99% of what they're saying, sometimes there's a word I'm like, I don't know what that means, and they have to check understanding sometimes. And also they know that my Portuguese is fluent, but I never lived in the country, so I'm not like fluent like a native speaker that lived in the country and went to school there, for example. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I tend to speak a lot. I'm sorry. I'm very chatty. It's It's my extroverted side of me. How did you start learning Japanese? YouTube videos, grammar books, private teachers? Right, good question. So if you want all the details, I've got a series on my channel. I think I should have a playlist. Yeah, there is a playlist where I do Japanese progress updates. And I share literally everything I do. But one of the books I've used was, I mean, if you're interested, it was Japanese from Zero. And it's a great series of books to get started because we love it when you're chatty. I need to not read the chat when I'm talking, otherwise I lose my train of thought. But so yeah, I was using Japanese from Zero, which is a great series of books for beginners, complete beginners, very slow progression. So it's great to get started because Japanese is kind of hard to what's the word in English? Apprehend, I think, or like, you know, get used to. So yeah, it's a nice series, and the author, so on top of the books, which are not very expensive, I don't think. I mean, it's all relative, but I don't think they're expensive for language books. They cost me £16. Sometimes they go on cheaper deals and stuff online on Amazon. And he has also a channel where he goes through all the lessons on video. So that means that you have the lesson on the book, which is enough in itself. But with the videos, you get extra information and you get the same thing sort of retold to you, re-explained, which I think is really nice and very clever of the author. And George is an amazing guy. I mean, I really like him. I love him. I love George. It's a lot of fun. Hey man, how are you doing? I'm good, and you? Skywater, I think I've seen you before. Not sure. Mary Cooch, thank you for putting how do you even read it? I never read it out loud. Anyway, regarding Brazilian and European Portuguese, you made me think of French and Canadian French. I speak fluent French, but I have to really pay attention and listen carefully with Quebecois. Yeah, same. I think it's actually quite similar. I would actually compare it more to French from France and Canadian French, because it's kind of the same thing. We kind of, I mean, as a native speaker, I don't know if you're a native speaker as well, but as a native speaker, I can understand them, but as soon as they start using, you know, not weird words, but you see what I mean, like words that I don't know or never use in France, then I get confused and I'm lost. But you know, if they use like very standard French words, French from France words, then easy to understand. But the accent takes a bit of getting used to, but you know, it's not, you know, it's nothing for me, the native speaker of French. I guess. Yep. But yeah, so back to your question, Abu. Sorry, I'm kind of going from back and forth, but yeah. So in the series of videos, I put a lot of things about how I learned Japanese, and yeah, I also watch a lot of YouTube videos. So I'm going back to your comment. Yeah, I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I watch. I need to remember the names. Misa, so the Japanese teacher. Amo Misa. No, wait, what was the name of the channel? Japanese Amo with Misa, I think that's it. And then I was Miku Japanese. I think that's the name of the channel. I really like them. They're really cool. But I sometimes just kind of go through other videos. Like there's smaller channels which are really good, and sometimes they explain a grammar point that Misa and Miku will not sort of go through. So I kind of, you know, I discover. You know, I think with YouTube you have to sort of, you know, follow suggestions, you know, and remember the channel, subscribe, and find the little channels and things like that. I think they're quite complimentary, but yeah, the Miku and Misa are like, they're great teachers. Like the videos are really informative, and yeah, they're amazing. Honestly, the work they do is amazing. Mary, so not a native speaker, but my degree, as you got a degree in it and taught it for years, right? Gotcha. Skywater, yep, both channels are good. I'll watch your videos on how you learn Japanese. It might help me learn European Portuguese. It might actually. Yeah, maybe that could give you inspiration. I mean, I think you know, the ways you learn one language, you can transfer this knowledge into another language. But I guess the only thing about European Portuguese, and that really frustrates me, is that yeah, there isn't a lot of resources. I did find a textbook which was decent and good, but some textbooks were so bad. I remember one of the years, that was the first year I taught Portuguese, so it was important for me to get a good textbook because I needed a bit of support, and you know, it's nice to have a book which has good exercises. You know, it's not about using all the exercises, but every now and then, instead of me creating all my resources all the time, which is very time consuming, especially considering how little we are paid as teachers, but that's another topic, then, you know, it's good to have a textbook which, you know, has good explanations. Also for the students, because the students, when they study, they want a textbook which can explain the grammar well, you know, that's very important. And the first book I used was so bad because the only thing you had was like sentence with gap fills. That was only it. I mean, sometimes they would get a little bit original, woo, but that was mainly the exercises, and that was really difficult because I had to create a lot of my activities. Otherwise, my students would get so bored. Like gap fills, I think are great in in their own respect, but you need to have different things. Otherwise, adults that are learning the language for fun, if they just do gap fills, then you're not really practicing the language, and it's not appropriate, I don't think, to do too much of it. And it's boring for me as well, so I don't want to be bored when I'm teaching. French days and avec Jarno. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name well. Is this spam? Hold on. Okay, delete. It's funny how many French learners say that they understand more spoken language than they speak. Well, I guess that makes sense because, okay, I'm not not specialized in second language acquisition. I mean, I did some of it, but I'm not really specialized. But there's definitely, and even in our native language, I think, I would argue that I can understand a very classical literature, but I can't write classical literature. So that means that my understanding is far better of French than one can actually produce. I mean, you could argue that with training and practice I could get better, but still, I understand more than I can actually produce usually. And I think that's the same thing for non-native languages. Mm-hmm. My understanding of standard French is fairly high, but when I watch movies and TV series, I'm totally lost. It's like I'm listening to another language. I'm doing a bit of self-promotion, but I'm in the middle of creating a podcast because so far my channel, how to explain? How could I say that? Basically, I'm creating a paid service, a subscription, and I haven't decided the price at the moment for sure, but I'm going to try to do something that's accessible to most people because I really want to, I feel like in French, and I taught French, I know a lot of the resources about French. The podcasts are great, like it's not like there's bad podcasts, but it's all about very standard French and proper French, and very rarely you see, informal French. It's very rare because, the resources, the teachers, when we teach standard language and very formal language, usually the proper way. I don't, because in my classes I always teach slang. I mean, I don't have that much time to do it, but I always try to, and I think students like that. But overall, the resources you find are very standard French, because it's mainly for it's aimed at teachers, I suppose, that want to teach French for exams, for the C1s and B1, B2, etc. But I want to create a podcast where I will tell you all about it now, actually, where I will be speaking more spontaneous French and authentic French. And the idea is that every day, from Monday to Friday, I will be telling you a story, let's say. When I say story, it could be something about the news, it could be something about my daily life, it could be something specific to French culture, anything. And the point is going to be to help people get exposed to spontaneous French. So obviously my French is not going to be like, yo, mate, but it's going to be fairly casual because I think it's really useful. When I'm learning Japanese, I love to be able to learn the slang and how people actually speak with their friends, and that's what I want to sort of recreate. So that might be of interest to you. I will make videos on my channel when this comes out, and it'll be all over Twitter as well, on my Twitter. So that might be interesting to you. And I'm going to try to make it as accessible as possible, so we'll do different levels. So people that, how to explain? I mean, because that's the thing, like, something I realized with since I joined YouTube is that for me, for example, $10 is not much, per month. That's really nothing. But obviously I can understand that for other people that's a lot. So I'm going to try to make it as accessible as possible, but at the same time I obviously want to make money out of it, because that's work I produce. It's all original content, original material, and I think I deserve to be paid for it. And I hope that people will also like it, and I'm very excited about it. I don't know when it will come out, but I really am going to try to have it come out, this month. But with Christmas and stuff, maybe January. And also I'm moving in January. Still in Paris, but I'm moving, so lots is happening. Kevin, your podcast idea is an excellent idea. As a Russian learner, I most appreciate the Russian YouTubers who do the same, spontaneous and informal language, very useful in the real world. I know, and I think that's something that's missing a lot in language learning, because, and that makes sense, because normally language learning originally is for school and exams, Language learning as a hobby is fairly new. I mean, I'm not saying people never did it before, but it became way more common now. And, there's like textbooks for self-learning, self-teaching or whatever. now, and I think people, and especially with the internet, oh my god, on the internet there's so much, and people use it more and more. There's, there needs to be more resources like that, that actually meets people's needs, because we don't always learn languages just for working in the country, for example. We learn it because we want to chat, so I think it'd be nice. I mean, I think I've got a nice idea, obviously, otherwise I would not consider doing it, but I think it will be useful. And from my experience as a teacher, I see a lot of students that want to learn the slang. They want to be able to live in France, but they want to be able to have friends and not sound weird, essentially. Formal textbook stuff is very good, but also the kind of thing you're planning is also very useful. I think the two are useful. I would never argue that formal language is bad or whatever. Like it is useful. We use it as a native speaker. I use it, regularly on a daily basis with strangers. But with my friends, I speak a lot of more casual French. So I think I think to be a very competent speaker or I don't know, speaker in the more broad sense, not just literally speaking, but reading, listening, etc. A competent user of the language, let's say, then I think you need to be able to master both. Because if you're in a situation where the only thing you know is formal French, first of all, you might sound weird, but also you will not understand people, your friends, for example, your French friends, and that would be very awkward for them to speak formally to you and using vous, for example, or using very sort of normal words, because in conversation, slang words just come out naturally. So, yeah. And I think also, aside from learning the informal language, I think it's nice to have something that's unscripted, like very spontaneous, that, it sounds like authentic. I don't know how to explain, but it's not just about being informal, but also be able to I think the regularity of the format that I have is quite good, I think, because that means every day you can go into a routine, and the episodes will be 5 to 10 minutes, so anyone can listen to them as soon as they wake up while they're getting ready, and or in a more focused environment, with each their own. But I think that's quite good. And also the fact that I want to do a variety of topics, that means that I want people to be able to, in the long run, to be able to cope with any kind of situation. Not literally, because there's always going to be situations that are new, but hopefully some of the topics will be able, the words and grammar that they will encounter in the episodes will help them in that sense, to be able to familiarize themselves with different topics. And I know a lot of people say, like, you should follow your interests, and yes, of course, like, do, but I think it's important to also know other topics, just not being a specialist of this topic, but being able to sort of understand it. If it comes up in conversation, you're not completely lost. You can kind of keep up, and you say, oh, like, for example, if there's something about, I don't know, secularity, laïcité in French, then you might not know everything about it, but if I mentioned it in the podcast, you're like, oh yeah, I remember hearing about this, in France it's this way. So if someone talks about it, you kind of know what they're on about. And that's quite useful, and you feel a bit more like included, I guess. 5 to 10 minutes is a great length. Yeah, I think so. I'm just hoping I'm not going to end up rambling on and doing 50-minute episodes, but I think 5 to 10 minutes is a good amount, I think. Otherwise people, they might be too much. And it's all going to be about the balance. Maybe people will find 10 minutes too long, and I'll see how it goes. I can only try and see how it goes, basically. I see there's 7 people online. Please feel free to say hi. I mean, it's fine if you just want to chill and listen, but feel free to say hi, who you are, what you're learning, what are you doing on my channel. And actually, I'm curious. I like to ask this question, but how did you come across my channel? It's always cool to know, like, what brought you here in the first place. Let me have a look at Twitter as well. Oh, yeah. Now I was reading something on Twitter, like someone was writing using the passé simple, which is the tense, and the subjonctif passé, I think. I don't know. We don't really use it. And then there was a funny conversation. My beard is so itchy. I need to trim it. Oh god. Sorry. This is not a live stream about my beard. I'm on Twitter, and I guess somebody I follow must have retweeted something you said. I liked your stream. Ah, cool. Well, I'm glad. I hope my Twitter feed is not too controversial. Imparfait subjonctif. Merci. You know your stuff. You know it. That's impressive that you know it. As in, like, you're not a native speaker and you still know it, even though it's not used. I mean, it's seen in literature. But yeah, that's exactly what I was saying earlier. as a native speaker, I understand the passé simple. If I see it, I'm not like, oh, what does that mean? Or imparfait subjonctif, I know what that means. Or like, it doesn't lose me. But, you know, I'm not able to produce it. Like, I could, because we do learn it in school, but I would like struggle to really use it fluently in conversation. Lol, my degree. Fair enough. But you know, like, I mean, in school we do learn about these things. Although I'm not sure if I learned the imperfect subjunctive. I'm not sure. We definitely, yeah, probably we did. I think we went through all the conjugations, seriously. We had to read all the classics, Racine, Corneille, etc., where there is a lot of it. Yeah. But even in Victor Hugo, I read Les Misérables a while ago, a couple of years ago, and yeah, there is that kind of language. So you definitely need to understand it, like, because sometimes I do say like passé simple is useless, but really it depends, because if you want to read literature and you don't know the subjunctive, the passé simple, for example, or the subjunctives, it's a bit confusing. It's going to be quite hard to understand what's happening. But you definitely don't need to produce it unless you're writing classical French. But I think that's a very niche goal for a learner to want to learn very formal French. I mean, very classical French. I think I would argue that anyway. I don't know if that's true. Maybe there's something I'm ignorant about. But yeah. But weirdly enough, English is not as inaccessible in terms of language. You know, if you look at the classical literature, yes, the vocab is different. I mean, I'm not even talking about Shakespeare, because Shakespeare uses completely different type of English. It's more like, it's not Old English, but what is it called? I can't remember. That was a long time ago. I studied literature at uni, English literature, but I forget. But anyway, the English is much different than the English now. But even if you read books from 150 years ago in English, like, the vocab is different, it's difficult, but the grammar is still the same. Like, the grammar never posed me any problems, but yeah, the vocab, yes. But in French, it's the vocab and the grammar, for sure. Whew. I need to drink. I'm speaking a lot. I'm really hoping I didn't bore everyone. But I definitely need to do more live streams. I'm gonna think about a date. You guys can give me your opinion, but I don't know if this is a good time, because for me the morning works fine. And I think 10 a.m. for like Asia is good, but I think for the Americas, it's a bit more complex, because I feel like it would be 5 a.m. now. I know in Mexico, for example, right now it's about 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. So it's very early. So obviously, you know, people that are in the Americas will not be able to keep up. But then if I do it later, then Asia is out of the picture. So it's kind of hard to find the right time. But I think I'm going to try different times. Maybe the afternoon as well could be good. Maybe the morning is not the best. Maybe in Europe, Saturday people are like in bed, sleeping, and too lazy to be on watching live streams. But I'm going to try different times. But I would like to do them maybe once a week. So, you know, food for thought for me, I guess. What's happening on Twitter? In the organization I work for, we are cross-continents, and we find around 1 p.m. UK time is about the best you can get, but it's still bad for New Zealand. I see. Yeah, maybe I should try that. So 1 p.m. UK would be 2 p.m. here in France. 2 p.m. doesn't sound like too bad, actually. I will try. I think it would be interesting for me to just try and see what happens. But yeah, you can't sort of please everyone, because depending on where you are in the world, it'll be either very early or very late for a lot of people. So I will try. We'll see. Hey man, I don't know how to memorize the Japanese vocab. It's like, should I just memorize the dictionary form and convert them in your head until you completely memorize them? Or should I remember them separately as ikeru, ikanai, itte, itta? Ah, I see. What would I say about this? But this way is so taxing. I mean, with this problem, man. Okay, so the way I approached it is, okay, so I know the dictionary form. So like, for example, when you say ikeru, did you mean iku, by the way? Iku, ikanai. I think you meant iku, not ikeru. Ikiru, I guess, means I can go. Anyway, but let's go with iku. So iku, to go. So I learned the infinitive. I think the infinitive is much easier to learn. in my opinion. But that's also the way I've learned all my other languages, so maybe I'm biased. But anyway, I think learning the infinitive is good, and then learning the rule, how to go from the infinitive to then the negative, the te form, and the ta form. And then I guess what I did is that I did learn it off by heart because iku is a bit irregular. So some verbs you just need to know them, and I just try to have a fairly good understanding of the grammar. So if a teacher asks me how do you put this verb into the ta form or the I'm rusty now, ba form, ba form, I think, I can't remember, tabereba, for example, then I know the rule roughly. I'll make mistakes still, but I'm fairly confident with it. And then what really helps is to see it in context, really. I think in some cases it's good to learn the grammar off by heart. So rote memorization, so you just learn it as a chunk, without context or whatever. But then I think this has limitations. So I think the best thing to do, in my opinion, is to kind of, nail the grammar and be fairly confident with conjugating a lot of the verbs using that rule. But then also seeing it in context. So for example, to learn iku, I didn't sort of necessarily say ite or ita. I just sort of saw it in context so often because it's a very common verb anyway that it kind of stuck to my memory. And if you make mistakes, just kind of refresh your mind, your memory. I mean, and yeah, that's what I would do. But sometimes it becomes really second nature, over time. But conjugation in Japanese, to do it fluently, can take a bit of mental practice. But yeah. I don't know if that answers your question, but I hope it does. But at the end of the day, it's about patience as well. I think. I should get up and do my Russian homework. See you on Twitter. Merci à vous. À bientôt. But yeah, no, definitely vocab is tricky. Something I do as well is on Anki. I try to learn sentences. So I have the Japanese and the French translation with specific verbs. So that means that as much as I have the infinitive form, so like the dictionary form, as you said, I think that's what you said, dictionary form, then so I've got that, so I learned the infinitive, but then I try to put it in context. So when I'm watching videos on YouTube and there's a sentence with a verb, I'm like, oh, that's a form of the verb I struggle to remember, so I'm going to add it. Yeah. So yeah. So for example, things like tabete, tabereba, tabenai, etc. So like I know it obviously because I learned it off by heart, but also because I saw it in context. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if that was clear or not clear, or if there's anything else I can help you with. If I can, I'll be happy to, because I know Japanese is not easy to learn, but you'll get there regardless. But for te form, you kind of develop an instinct for it. So what I did is I learned a song. Wait, hold on. Do I remember the song? Okay. Wait, hold on. What's the song? I don't remember the tune now. I haven't practiced this song in a long time. Wait. Okay. I'll share the song. I'm gonna listen to it and be like, yes, that's it. So, te form song. There's many you can use. I think it's this one. That's the one. Utsurute numubunde kuite guite. That's the one. Ooh, Brian, you gave me a bit of a challenge. I can't understand the first one. Okay. No. Ippun kan Nihongo de. I can't read the rest. Hontoni. I can't read. Is it hontoni? I can't understand everything. I'm very rusty with my Japanese now. But I think it means 1 minute time. I don't know. Translate it, I want to know now. Should I remember the iku? Yeah, I think you should remember the iku because it is used not just in the dictionary but also in context. Yeah. Like it's basically casual present tense, future tense, like, I don't know, ashita nihon ni iku, for example. So you will use it in context. I mean, unless you're not interested in informal language, then obviously that's your prerogative, but I think it's good to know. And it's used in some grammar as well, later on. Do you read Japanese from left to right, like English? Oh, you mean like in general? I thought you asked me in particular. Yeah, it's from left to right, yeah. I was like, how can you read from the end? No, yeah, you read from left to right. But yeah, I do forget that in some languages you read from right to left, which for me would be such a mind blow. I'm kind of, I hope one day I will learn like a language like Arabic where you read backwards, so to speak, quote, not quote unquote, but like, so to speak. But that'd be quite interesting. I find it even interesting when, at first you're like, oh, that's impossible, I can never do that. Like, for example, me thinking I could never read kanji or rap Japanese, and here I am. I can read some of it, not perfectly because my kanji is not great, but yeah, I can read some of it. That's pretty cool. But Brian, I want to know what you said. Was I close, more or less? I kind of recognize the kanji, but I'm not sure. Yeah, because I used to, I did something on Anki. So Anki is a flashcard app, in case someone doesn't know. And I did what they call remembering the kanji, which is a method. It's a bit complicated to explain everything, but basically you learn all the kanji. I mean, all the common kanji anyway. And I used to be able to recognize all the kanji, but I stopped doing it, and I need to go back to it because that's really frustrating, because that helps a lot for comprehension, to be able to recognize, more or less all the kanji. Because I remember that kanji, I've seen it before, but I just can't remember what it's called, what it means. Wait, I think one of the kanji is week. Like the week, like Monday, Tuesday. Huh. Don't know. Let's go on Google and see. I'm too curious to see what he said. How close was I? Maybe I was far off. Japanese to English. Let's see. Ah, okay. Tekito. That's the to of honto. Okay. Shabete. Oh, chat. Yes. Oh my god. Yes, it was in my kanji. Oh my god, I can't speak Japanese for 1 minute. I'm definitely so rusty. Like, I would embarrass myself. No, the thing is, I was talking about this earlier, is that up to August, I could have some conversation in Japanese. I mean, it's basic, right? I mean, I had conversation classes because I'm only at N4 level. But then I stopped for a long time taking classes and revising. I still do Anki, but I've lost a lot of my Japanese, and I really want to get back to it. I think next week I'm going to consider contacting my teacher and doing some classes. But first I would like to do a bit of revision, because I know I've lost a lot of what I've learned. The knowledge is still there, I just need to reactivate it. In Arabic and Hebrew, you read from right to left. Ah, right, I didn't know about Hebrew. Okay, fair enough. I mentioned I just remember only and get the other grammar to remember each conjugation word, like. I understand what you said, Ikiru now. Okay, that makes sense. Let's see. I think what will happen is that for some verbs, at first, especially iku, because it's a bit irregular, a little bit, you will learn them off by heart. So these forms, you will have learned them most likely by just learning them, stupidly, like just, it's written, you just learn it, you remember it, and you get it out of your mouth in conversation, basically. But then you won't be able to do that for every verb, because if you think about it, there's hundreds of verbs, thousands of verbs in Japanese, and in any language, presumably. So then what you will do is you will just sort of follow the rule, and you will sort of know the pattern without thinking about it too much. So at first, I think it's good to be able to apply the pattern, like the rule, the grammar rule, but then you'll see that eventually you will not have to do that. You will just see them in context. Like, for example, for me, taberu, I know it's tabete. I don't have to say, it's a eru, iru verb, so it's a te form. Yeah, I just know it, So I think it's going to be a mixture of both. I think, as much as I think grammar study is great, have the basics, kind of understand the grammar point more or less, understand it, know how the rule works, even if you don't nail it, but then eventually see it in context. I hope I'm answering the question. Maybe I'm being thick. I don't know. So that when I hear a word, then I would recall what it means instantly. I'm not sure what you mean. So like you would have to hear it many times, obviously, but eventually you would recall it. Yeah, especially if you see it in context, and as you use it as well, it becomes more natural, I think. Alright, I think I'm going to stay on for 10 more minutes. I kind of promised myself I would make it not more than an hour or something. I want to do lots of things today. I want to go to the Christmas markets in Paris, because I haven't been able to do them for years. I think last time was actually maybe 3-4 years. I did a vlog on my channel, but yeah, I've been able to do them for a long time, so I want to see one today. That'd be quite exciting, maybe with friends or on my own. Why not? I'd be more than happy to teach you Arabic, and I could do most dialects except for the North African ones, or could teach you modern standard Arabic, the written form. I've got a question about Arabic actually. So first of all, I mean, I don't know where you're from, what country, but why do you know so many dialects of Arabic? Because obviously I know that it's different, but for example in French I only know my dialect, you know, I don't have a reason in particular, you know, we don't have how to explain it? There's no reason for me to know more than one dialect in French, unless I wanted to, or unless I was from, you know, a part of France which has this dialect. But as a Parisian, I don't need in my daily life to have learned a dialect. So what's the linguistic context in Arabic countries that means that you know more than one dialect, I guess is my question. Is it because there's a lot of interaction between different dialects, or what? I mean, I understand that modern standard Arabic is the written form, but what about the other ones? I'm curious. Linguistics question, I guess. Because I don't really know much about the Arabic language, unfortunately. Someone tweeted at me about the live stream. I'm replying live. I remember actually seeing your name now on Twitter. That's really cool. Thanks for answering my question, man. Cool, well, I'm glad. I hope that helped. In all Arabic, 22 countries, we learn modern standard Arabic, and at home with family and friends, we talk in our dialect. So, is it the norm to speak? Okay, so obviously you have one dialect, everyone has a dialect, but is there a reason in particular to know more than one, I guess is my question? That's very interesting though, because I don't think it's the same as in French, where we learn the formal language and then we speak the casual language, because you don't consider it as two different dialects. So that's very interesting actually. So does that mean that modern standard Arabic is like way different from other dialects, or is it somehow similar? Not a question, just an encouragement. I really enjoy watching your content. Oh, thanks, Nicole. Very nice of you. Where did you get your fancy glasses? Oh, wow. Where did I get them? I think I bought them in Paris. I don't think I bought them, maybe in England. I think I might have bought them in England. But I'm considering doing the laser surgery thing, because I'm really, really, really blind. And you know I'm blind because of my glasses, like it creates a deformation. Is that the word in English? I don't even know. But you can tell like my glasses are like really strong. I'm like -7. Without my glasses, I can actually harm myself when going out in the street because I can't see anything. I'm laughing, but it's true. I grew up in Saudi with so many Arabs from different countries and learned their dialects. Ah, okay. So I suppose you have. So in school, do you learn? So in school, do you learn standard Arabic? Okay, obviously, I guess that would be the norm. And then at home, you speak your dialect. And are you able to? So you're able to speak your dialect or dialects, but oh, it's cutting up a lot. I think I'm going to repeat just in case. So at home, you're able to speak one dialect or two or more. But then, are you able to write it? Are these dialects written? And yeah, or like, do they have like a how to explain? You know, are they standardized in a way? You know, like, you know, standardized language will be written. They will have dictionaries and stuff. So I guess that's my question, I suppose. Back to study. See you later. Have a good day. You too, Sky. Bye. Yeah, MSA is totally different. MSA is simplified form of classical Arabic. Okay, right. I feel like I've got so much to learn about Arabic. I need to watch maybe a video about it or something. That'd be interesting. Oh, I have a question for you. So, you know, in France we have obviously, what's the word? History with the Arabic world. Because of, you know, invasions and Islam, etc. So some words and also not just because of that, because there's obviously a lot of immigration from the North Africa, And then sometimes we use words. Oh, my nose is so itchy. I'm sorry. We use slang words. How to explain Arabic words as slang. So, for example, we will say miskin, which I don't know how to pronounce that in Arabic, but I think it comes from miskina. I'll write it just in case my pronunciation is terrible. And the meaning in French, I think, changed from the Arabic, but miskin is more like when something bad happens or someone is unlucky, you will say, ah, miskin. So like, ah, that's sad, oh, poor you, or something like that. But then we also use words like voila. And I don't know the meaning exactly, like the origin of the word, but we use that word for sure. And I wanted to know if wallahi billahi is an Arabic word or not, and if I'm saying it right, and what does it mean. I hope you didn't cut too much. I know I'm using the internet a little bit for some reason, not sure why. I hope my question was clear. Sorry, you sent another message. In school, we all learn MSA and everything written in MSA, even simple manuals and children books. Okay, I see. Right. So it's not just a language of education, so a language for, for children books. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Interesting. Sorry, I'm asking a lot of questions, which would require probably a lot of time for you to answer fully. I lost my stream. Okay. No, it's not like the difference of the French between French. Diglossia. I know that word. What does it mean again? Diglossia. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that word. Okay. Yeah. I see. Yeah, so it's diglossia, like this. Yeah, we have a lot of Arabic slang. It's very interesting. Meskin is written. Okay, so the way we write it has changed a little bit. I guess it adapts to the French meaning. I love using miskin. I think it's a great word. I don't know why it just translates the emotion perfectly, much better than other French words. we do have alternatives, but yeah, I like this one better. And what about wallahi billahi? Because I've asked some Arabic speakers, and some of them understood, and some others didn't. So I'm wondering what's up with that. Like, why? Why is there such discrepancy? Let's say, or like, levels of understanding, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I'm curious now. Phew. We've had up to 8 people at the same time. Nice. And thanks for everyone who has liked the live stream. I appreciate the support. It's always nice. Okay, voila. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's funny because I wouldn't have been able to translate it, but when I use it, it's like, voilà, c'est pas bien. Like, I swear that's not nice. That's not good. That's really funny. I love when like we use other languages to express things, and I find it so interesting. Because yeah, I mean, it's an Arabic word, but it's pretty much French because I don't speak Arabic, and I still use them, as almost like as part of my French. Obviously it's casual, but yeah. Like my mum would not understand what voila is. She would just be like, "What are you saying? What's that word?" And what's about like wallahi? So I think it's voila, but I remember a friend who told me it was wallahi billahi, but I mean I'm not sure. And I think it's written something like wallahi billahi. I mean how I think I would write it, but obviously the spelling is not going to be correct. Maybe billahi. I don't know. She told me a long time ago. I need to ask her again. That was very interesting for me to know. Because that's one thing using Arabic words, but if you say them right, that's even cooler. When I went to Tunisia, I didn't understand the local dialect and people had to change their dialects for me. I see. But I suppose Tunisia uses a lot of French words. Is that why? Because I suppose I don't know. I mean, I don't know much. I'm totally ignorant on the topic, but they speak Arabic, but the dialect, is it influenced by French, or is it literally just Arabic I mean, or does it not have any influences? I would find it hard to believe because of the history, but that's possible. You know, I don't know. It depends. Because you know, even French is influenced by English, for example, and Arabic and other languages. So that's very interesting. Most French slang from Arabic comes from North African dialects. That makes sense. Yeah, yeah, because of the history of immigration and just the history in general. Yeah. Makes sense. It's very interesting. You know, I think the sad thing is that in school we're not really taught about this very extensively. Like we know, obviously, of North Africa, but it doesn't seem. I don't feel like I've learnt a lot, or like I don't feel like I've got a solid understanding of the history. You notice the difference between Quebecois French and European French? Yes, absolutely. We actually were talking about this earlier. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of differences. Like it's pretty clear when someone comes from Quebec and someone comes from France rather, or you know, even Switzerland or something like that. The Tunisians mix French with Arabic, but their dialect is very strong. Strong in what sense? Does that make sense? Yeah. I imagine Algerians and Moroccans. How do you say that in English? I don't even know. Marocain in French. Yeah, it's very strong for me. Okay, so I guess very different, very hard to understand. Gotcha. Alright, I think I'm going to stay on 5 more minutes because I'm really getting into the conversation. But I would love people to make videos about, you know, the history of Arabic language. I'm sure there's stuff out there. I just need to have a look at it. Maybe there's this channel who does videos about the history of languages and like, you know, is it Link Focus? No, what is it? Okay, I think if I should put history of Arabic language, I'll find it. Yeah, Lang Focus, that's him, yeah. Yeah, he has a video about it. Here we go, I'm going to put it on my watch later. This is going to be useful. Inquiète-toi pas. Actually, interestingly enough, I think in France, I mean, I don't say that. I would say t'inquiète pas. But I know in some parts of France, we would hear that. I think in the north. Inquiète-toi pas. Yeah. But for example, in Quebecois, French, they have very interesting features. For example, okay, I'm not a specialist, but I think that's correct. They would say things like, for example, if I say in French from France, I would say tu parles français. And I think in Quebecois, they would say tu parles-tu français? So they repeat the tu. And for me, that's really interesting. It's like, I wonder why the tu is needed twice, but I don't know. I mean, there's no reason. It's just the way it is, but it's very interesting. Because I used to watch a series, like a comedy show in Quebecois French, and I could pick up some of the features, and that was very, very funny. Ooh, I'm getting a bit hungry as well. The pain au chocolat was not enough, apparently. But yeah, I'm thinking as well as how I want to organize my live streams from now on. I'm thinking of a day like Wednesday, but I feel like if it's 1 PM, it's a weekday, so it's tricky. It's hard. I think I'm gonna have to sort of think about it. I'm chatty today. Well, me too. No, but it's very interesting. That's why I like these live streams, because I can learn a lot, and people come from so many different places that you can always learn and exchange, and yeah, that's what I love. That's what I love about language learning and linguistics in general, is that you can learn so much about the world, and yeah, I don't know. I think it's very interesting. I love talking about Arabic and languages in general. Well, nice, because I like to hear about it and talking about it, but also hearing about it. Alright, I think I'm gonna stop here for today. So thank you very much for everyone who joined and took part, and even those who didn't take part, thank you for joining anyway. And I promise I will do more live streams in the future, because it's nice. I love doing them. It's always a lot of fun. So thank you very much, and I will see you next week. Bye. I feel like I'm finishing one of my YouTube videos. Alright, thank you everyone, and take care, have a good weekend, and see you soon on my channel. Alright, bye bye.